So this will be part 2 of the solar panel testing. So for this test, anyone can do it as well. You will need, I'm using a 12 volt battery, which is two 6 volts. So these guys are pretty dead. One was sitting at 4 volts, one was sitting at 5. So I want to bring them up to around 6. They're 300 amp hour batteries, so they should be able to handle a lot of power going into them, which is what you need. You need a dead battery for this test, or a relatively dead battery that's still going to make the charge controller turn on. If you go too low, the charge controller won't recognize it as a battery. So you do have to be at a certain voltage when you start this test. I think 12 volts is probably around 50% capacity. So if you can get each of these 6 volt batteries to 6 volts, you should be fine. Or a 12 volt battery up to 12 volts, or 11.5, somewhere around there. So for this test, we're going to be using an MPPT charge controller, a 12 volt battery, and a voltage meter, and a single solar panel. This is the same solar panel we tested at 96%. So today we're going to see how much wattage we can get out of this. So it is a 24 volt panel, considered a 24 volt panel. Its VMP on this panel is around 29, so that's about the max you want to charge a 24 volt battery bank, in around 29.5, 30 volts. Depends on if you're equalizing them or not. But and other battery chemistries like well, lead acid, but different types of batteries, you know, they charge like an AGM. I think the max charge is only 28.4 or something like that, or 28.8 on a 24 volts, or 14.4. These ones can handle 15 volts all day long. That's why I stopped using them, because most inverters can't handle 15 volts. So you have to charge these more than most inverters can handle. So unless you have a good quality inverter, which I did not. So anyways, that's where we're starting. So we're all set up almost. I just want to give the panel a quick wipe. The batteries are both at around 6 volts a piece. Got the charge controller hooked up. The breaker isn't on yet, and the wires go just with some barrettes over to the solar panel. And then the solar panel isn't plugged in yet. It gets plugged in after the charge controller comes on. So I'm just going to give that solar panel a quick wipe so we can get the maximum performance out of it. It is, you can see how the shadow is on the solar panel. It's almost where it should be, like directly facing the sun. It's still fairly early in the morning. It's only about 11 o'clock, 10:30, somewhere around there. So I'll give that panel a quick cleanup, and I'll turn everything on. Ready to turn this on. So here's our 12 volt battery. You can see it's connected positive to negative. So these become our two terminals at 12 volts. I'll flip this on, get the controller on. I'm probably gonna have to set this. Love how well this camera focuses. .8, it's a float. 14.5. So we're gonna set this to about 15 volts. And 13.8 is our float, so we're good. So we'll double check what we're at here. I can't seem to get a view of the screen. Camera doesn't like to focus for some reason. I'm gonna take it off this mode here. Can't really see what's going on in here anyways. Sitting at 0. There we go. Showing the battery is at 10.2 volts. But the controller's on, so let's fire up the, we'll set this back to, we got a fault. The battery's getting too low. Now let's plug this guy in, see what happens. Sorry. Plugged in. Getting 100 and it's like around about 195 watts. Very hard to see. Can't see anything. I can't see anything. 195 watts. We're already at 14.6, doing 12.8 amps. So that's another thing about an MPPT controller versus the PWM. Doesn't matter what the voltage of the panel is on the PWM. If you're only getting 7.8 amps out of it, doesn't matter if it's a 36 volt, 24 volt, 12 volt panel, you're only gonna get 7 amps, 7 point whatever amps to your batteries. With an MPPT, you get the maximum power. So 196 watts coming in, 25.8 volts. So yeah, it's pretty good for one panel. I'll do the math on that. Holding pretty steady at 196. It's not bad. It's about to be expected around this time of the morning. Actually getting over 196, almost 197. So yeah, we'll just charge up these batteries here for a bit and see what happens. We're at 14.8 volts. Obviously these batteries are pretty worn out. We're almost at our absorbed voltage now, so they could actually use a good equalizing probably. Let's see if these batteries are bubbling at all in there. Nothing's happening. So that's the thing about batteries in series. One of these two batteries is probably charging more than the other. This one's bubbling in here a bit. This one's been making some movement as well. And that one's doing nothing. So yeah, pretty straightforward testing setup. You know, one panel, 12 volt battery, an MPPT charge controller. That will get you an average on, you know, it's a pretty nice day today. The panel actually could be tilted a little bit more because the shadow is going that way a bit. You could probably maximize that a little bit more until we hit absorb or float. I haven't hit float yet, so we're pushing 198 now. Wish you could see that, but it's just not visible in this light. But yeah, you take my word for it. Pretty straightforward. Another easy test to see what your panels are capable of. And to do the math on this, you would divide 198 by 230, and that should get you a percentage as well. Thank you. Can't really see it, but I did lift them. We're getting over 200 now, 202. And I did the math on 190 whatever, 198. It's about 86%. So it isn't peak time yet either, and my panels aren't perfect for, you know, the way that the sun is facing. I'm sure I could maximize it by tilting it this way a little bit as well. Let's give that a try. Let's see if we can maximize this output. See if that does anything different to it. There's about 203. Yeah, little stuff that, you know, panels aren't perfect. They pretty much never produce full power except for under certain conditions, mainly cloud edge effect. When the sun is peeking behind a cloud and then it comes out of the cloud, you get that extra little boost, which is not going to happen today, but and I could turn it even a little bit more. Let's try tilting it more. See how much we can maximize this. Lots of scrap wood here. Pretty close to where its peak should be anyways, in my opinion. See if that does anything better. It is tilted. I think that's pretty darn close to perfection on the angle. We're not going to get too much better. There's 205. So, you know what I mean? Like 1-2 watts is nothing. In my opinion, it's not even worth trying to make the effort to move those. But 13.3 amps. We're at 14.9 volts, so we're gonna be at there's over 205. 205.5. So I'll double check the math on that. Like I said, the closer we get to 12, the closer the sun is to the earth. Like when the sun comes up over there, you know, it's got the most distance compared to straight in the sky coming down. There's a lot more distance for the light to travel than when it's at 12. That's why it's best if you're gonna do a fixed position on your panels to face them south. You'll get the most performance out of them. I do want to check how unbalanced these batteries are. You know, that's why I got away from lead acid, because it's pretty hard to keep 6 or 3 cells balanced inside this case. Need 2 hands. Yeah, so we're at 7 volts on this one. We're at 7.5 volts on this one. So yeah, this one's gonna charge much quicker than this one, which is gonna cause problems. But batteries are pretty much garbage anyways. I've had them for, I would imagine 5 years now, and they weren't the best batteries when I first got them anyways, so pretty much holding it. There was almost 206 there. 206. It is what it is. Like, you're never gonna get it perfect. Anyways, thanks guys. So it's 1 o'clock. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. It's pushing 2:20. It's about my peak times right here. I can't see nothing. pretty close to 220. I've seen over 220 already, but it's flickering back and forth. I think the batteries can take quite a bit more. Almost tempted to put one more panel on there. These were pretty dead, so to pump 300 amp hours into them, maybe even more, at 15 amps, it's going to take quite a while. Yeah. But that looks like about the perfect angle. It's almost directly straight with the sun. Right there. I got a bunch of pieces under there, so I did see which ones were the best. And see where the shadow is, it's pretty damn close to perfect. So it did hit 220, which is probably close to 95%. $19.5. I don't think this controller fans come on yet or nothing. It can handle 15 amps all day long. And it's in the sun. Batteries are just starting to bubble a tiny bit. At 13.9 volts, taking 15.2 amps. Not bad from one 230 watt panel on a 12 volt system. I would double that for sure if I was even building any kind of system with these batteries. Any lead acid, they need so much power. It's not even worth getting them, you know. Very basic setup. Cheap. Thanks, guys.